local racetrack. Well, Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania is back for the 5th straight year. Great to have you with us with our streaming coverage as we get set for race 2 in the Trico Trans Am Series of 2025. Simmons Plains Raceway in its 65th year of operation. This is the site where it all begins for the Trico Trans Am Series for 7 rounds this season. Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Noonan. Great to have you with us here in the Apple Isle. As you can see in here behind me, the Trans Am cars are rolling out onto the grid to get ready for their second race of 4 this weekend. Thomas Randall's in the co-driving chair today. Thomas, we saw an amazing race yesterday, but the reigning champ Todd Hazelwood got the job done.
He did, yeah. Perfect way to start his 2025 campaign. Some unfortunate issues for James Moffat, who was leading early. He had a broken left rear axle, so that put him pretty much out, 26th position, so he's going to be trying to go through the field today. Some great performances from James Golding, 11th up to 4th in the end. Tom Davies, his first top 3 finish. Lachlan Evanet, the 16-year-old on debut in Trans Am Australia, finishing in the top 6. So some great results for them, and I'll tell you what, there's a little bit of precipitation in the air, isn't there?
We've just got a few drops just starting as the cars leave pit lane to head out to the grid, so we'll keep an eye. Those Trico windscreen wipers might be in action. Let's hope they're not in action all year for the 7 rounds. Let's have a look at the calendar. We begin here in Tasmania. There's 3 rounds this year with the Repco Supercars Championship. 4 standalone events at some of the most historic venues in Australian racing. The Bathurst 6 Hour next month at Easter is round 2. We're at Winton later in the year and a return to Malabar Motorsport Park in South Australia before the Adelaide Grand Final wrap-up in November. Now, we've got plenty on today in our streaming coverage. We begin with race 2 of the Trico Trans Am Series. There's a couple more races coming up this afternoon. We've got the Hyundai Excels here this weekend as well as the opening round of the Australian Prototype Series. So plenty of racing today from Simmons Plains here in Tasmania. Plenty going on in pit lane 2. Cameron Vanderdungen is across plenty of it.
All the cars are out on track, Noon, so as you pointed out, there's a little bit of rain starting to fall. I'd call it drizzle more than anything else. So have a look what's on the apron here. This could get very spicy for race 2 coming up shortly. Remember, it's a progressive grid, so how they finished yesterday is how they'll start today. They'll do that again for race number 3, and then later today for race 4, it's going to be on accumulated points. Watch for James Moffat off the back of the grid, but I'll also echo the comments you guys said. Great job by Tom Davies and also Lockie Evanet. The 2 Queenslanders did a great job yesterday.
And Cam, remember too, there's 2 fights in the fight for the Trico Trans Am Series competitors. There's the outright category and Pro-Am. Mark Bailey in the Camaro, the Jacks Tyres Autocar, won that yesterday, but they're lining up on the grid. How they finished the first race yesterday, and of course it was a great result for our reigning champ Todd Hazelwood. Let's get ready for race 2. We've got plenty of racing coming to you from Tasmania today, and the man in the commentary box, he has the V8 vocal cords. He's the perfect man for the Trico Trans Am Series. It's g'day and welcome to Matt Nolte.
G'day Noons, back in business today, my friend. Looking forward to this, and you're right, a little bit of drizzle in the air, which could add another mix like this category needs any more help for action after yesterday's opening stanza in the Trico Trans Am Series. So the umbrellas are up. I'm not sure it's going to be too much to interfere with the race, but it did send the team scurrying the last hour to get those wet tyres onto the rims down here. But looking to the left, it doesn't look too promising, does it? However, we'll face that problem whenever it gets to that as the cars get set to leave for this formation lap and then an extra formation lap today to let the field catch up. So, how did we get here? Well, it was a big day yesterday at Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania. 2 practice sessions, qualifying, and then this. Not even 50 metres in, and James Moffat laid it down to the reigning champ, Todd Hazelwood, in turn number 1. Everybody played nicely through this first set of turns. This was Rice on the outside at turn number 4. We expected this bit of bump and grind down here, Tom Randall, as he made it back into the commentary box. But for Charlie Nash, he was served up, but lucky to get away with this one.
Yeah, very lucky. He actually spoke to me after the race and was stuck in second gear, so that's why he got hit there. And then there was a bit of carnage a bit further on that involved Charlie again, unfortunately. So that's Webster pulling off to the side, had left rear suspension damage. But yeah, Moffat made his intentions very clear early on with that excellent overtake on the first lap on Todd Hazelwood. This is Hazelwood getting back by Nathan Hearn from the second position. And everything was looking pretty good for Moffat at this point, as there is the number 2 going round, Adam Garwood. And then this was what we caught on camera. Moffat with what we didn't know at the time was a left rear axle that had snapped and unfortunately losing drive. So big shame for the LMCT Plus driver, and he's got his work cut out for him this morning, starting down in 26th position.
Wasn't the Lone Ranger. There was a bit of oil down here on the track, which caught Josh Thomas's interest down there. Robbie Farr would pull up just coming out of turn number 4 here. It was a broken gear selector on the Hi-Tec Oils Chevy Camaro that stopped him. Same too for Mark Crutcher in car number 4, but out in front, under safety car, the reigning champ started from pole, picked up his first win, and got the fastest lap in race number 1 yesterday. The perfect day, and he'll lead the field around for today's second race. A 3-race program here today, progressive grids, and like you boys touched on at the top of the show, the man to watch, James Moffat, from 26th position on the grid.
I spoke to him before the race, Nolte, and he said, I don't think the car's going to be looking this way at the end of the race, but Hazelwood, he'll have the best position on the grid, pole position on the left-hand side, 2 formation laps like you touched on, which is probably what these drivers want in these conditions with that little bit of drizzle. I don't think it's going to be anything too serious for the drivers out there, but he actually said after the race he was happy that the race finished under safety car because he said the clutch was going and he had a slow puncture on the front left. So he said that safety car couldn't have come out at a better time for him. As we ride on board here with Nash Morris lining out of P number 8. So he made a few moves in that race as well. James Golding moved up from 11th to 4th, so keep an eye out for him as well.
So here is the grid. Todd Hazelwood on the front row. Mustangs, wherever you look in this weekend's field. Nathan Hearn alongside him. Tom Davies, his first ever podium yesterday, starts out at 3 with James Golding. Lockie Evanet, the rookie, starts out at 5 aboard the number 8 machine. Jordan Cox starts out of 6 with Nash Morris and Ben Grice on the 4th row. Josh Haynes and Jackson Rice starting down towards the bottom of the top 10. We look at Jack Smith and Elliot Barber. Blake Tracy, one of the rookies up the field there in yesterday's one. Jared Hughes, Ben Gomersall, who was dropped to 15th position for contact with Elliot Barber. He finished 11th yesterday. Ben Barguana next to him. Domain Ramsey will start down the field in 21st position. John Hollinger, James Moffat on that 13th row. Charlie Nash was given 30 seconds to his time for exceeding the pit lane speed yesterday by more than 4 kilometres an hour. He'll start alongside Robbie Farr. Cameron Laws, an oil line come off his number 9 car. He'll start towards the back. Graham Cheney and Josh Webster was a broken rear end on the Hi-Tec Oils Auto Fix Mustang. Not the way the Tasmanian wanted his day to play out, but he'll be doing the charging from the back of the field. So what's Moff got for us today? He's promised us maybe a charge through the field, but he's also going to keep in mind there's 2 more races to come later today.
There is, and it's quick fire today, Nolt. So 3 races. Not a lot of time between the races, so you don't want to have any real incidents, if you like, in these opening 2 because it's going to be a bit of a stretch to try and make it for race 3. And here's all the drivers lining up. This is the second of the 2 formation laps, and we're just gathering everyone here as they all come through that sweeper at turn number 5. I think we're going to be looking good for a start here, Nolts.
They were asked to slow it right down before turn number 5, the sweeper, and they've done it nicely today. 32 car field, I'm happy to say. 32 are out there, and we're ready to go. In race number 2, the opening stands are on Sunday morning in the Trico Trans Am Series. The reigning champ has a double-time champ on his right-hand side. Watch for the youngster on the inside, the second row. Watch James Golding as well, from 11th up into 4th position yesterday. Cars taking off to the grass already. Looks like Graham Cheney, perhaps in the 51 machine. Down into turn number 1 we go. Playing it nice and cool for the first time. In car with Nash Morris, a wall of cars ahead of him. As he pulls up alongside to make the move, there's bump and grind. There's a bit of feeling on the charge down towards turn number 4 for the first time. They're 3 wide. Hearn has squeezed back. He's lost a handful of positions already in the 29 machine, at least 5 spots through turn number 1. So the man from Lismore on the back foot, it seems, coming out of turn number 4, but out in front, the reigning champ leads. But look at Davies side by side with Golding. Will have the better line on the way down to turn number 6 with some raindrops on the lens down there.
Excellent start for James Golding, up to 2nd from 4th. And Hearn, I don't know what happened at the start there, off the front row next to Hazelwood. He's gone all the way back to 7th. So not the start he would have wanted. And it looks like Morris and Evanet have sorted each other out into turn 6. But I was about to say another lap that we will tame, but what's happened here with Webster?
He's facing the wrong way. He's got to Austin Powers his way out of this one, maybe. It's a really tight section. The fielder coming towards him with a white flag. About a safety car board is going to be shown there in the background by the look of it. The field arriving on the scene. And Webster, his heart rate would be up, seeing 31 of his mates heading towards that scene.
Just hope everyone sees the safety car boards here, because it's not often you're going about 5 kilometres an hour at that part of the track, so yeah, unusual to end up facing backwards there. But we saw in the opening lap, Nathan Hearn locked both fronts into turn 4, so when you've got cold tyres, locking those front tyres that early, he might be feeling a bit of vibrations through the steering wheel and through his teeth with some flat spots on the front tyres there. But yeah, he's dropped back to 6th, so not the best start for him.
Poor Josh Webster has got a lap down in the process of that. Cameron Laws, you're watching in car number 9, chasing the field. So we'll check it out from Nash Morris's perspective. I had to double check myself because I saw the blue gold car in front of him when we jumped in car at the initial start, wondering what happened to the 29 car. So watch through the windscreen, the usual bump and grind of turn 1. There he is on the right-hand side. Was he just being hustled?
I think he was just hung out to dry at turn 2. So yesterday, Moffat got the jump on Hazelwood and was able to get to the lead and show that dominance, and Hearn's just been hung out to dry. Morris now trying to go to the outside, and does he make it stick? No, he doesn't. And then looks like, I think that's just your typical sort of parking lot into turn 4, lap 1 there, and I don't really think there was much that could be done. I think it was sort of a 3.
Oh, the medical card just come through the dust. The medical car was caught in that dust cloud and didn't see the 200 till the very last second on the way to turn 4. This is from James Moffat. Incidentally, he's made up 7 positions in all this. Oh, very NASCAR-like, isn't it, heading down there? Drive through the dust. You can drive right through it with a cue.
That gives me flashbacks of Raikkonen at Spa.
Yes.
Through all the smoke, so he's done well there. Up 7 spots on the opening lap, and as we're under the Buckley Motors safety car.
So allow 200 to catch the rear of the field here. So Hazelwood, Golding, Davies, Lockie Evanet goes up into 4th place. Nash Morris from 7th up into 5th. Nathan Hearn now in 6th ahead of Grice. Jackson Rice, yep, they're together again. 7th and 8th position. Elliot Barber now in 9th spot. He started in 12th at the start of this race. Jack Smith just outside the top 10. And James Moffat, 19th from 26th on the grid. There he is, the LMCT Plus, number 34 Ford Mustang for Gary Rogers Motorsport.
Now, when you're in this position for James, all he'd be thinking is, let's go racing. Because as the clock's counting down, he can't make up any positions at the moment. So he'd be wanting the race to get back under green. And actually saw a shot before, Ben Grice got a bit of front bar damage. You can just see on the bonnet of Grice's car there. So he looks like he's made contact with someone probably in that turn 4, lap 1. Accordion effect, if you like. So he's just going to have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, Moffat want this race to get back under green pretty shortly. Hopefully they've got Webster's car cleared, and we should be underway hopefully very shortly.
And he's captured the back of the field now. There is the punch in the front of the All-American Driveline and Auto Parts entry, the 03, the famed 03 that his dad drove at the World 600 at Charlotte many years ago. The great Alan Grice. We'll look inboard with Nash Morris. He's up in 5th position now. Looking down the field, Adam Garwood has gone right to the bottom of our timing sheets as well. So the number 2 car that started in 17th has gone to the tail of the field on the lead lap, as the good news is the Buckley Motors safety car lights are out and leaves us in single file for the start, or the restart of this, with 14 minutes and 40 seconds plus a lap of race number 2. A 3-race program today. They'll need to think about the time permitted between the 2 races to work on the cars, get a good result, and look after the 6 Hoosier tyres they're allowed for the weekend.
Hearn might need some new Hoosier tyres after that.
I'd say so. Back to racing we go. And the train of Trans Ams make their way back to John Bow pit straight. Golding going with Hazelwood on the way up to this turn 1 and 2 complex of Simmons Plains Raceway. Davies runs in 3rd with Evanet, Nash Morris and Nathan Hearn, as the rest of the field still coming past our commentary position, trying to keep the heat into the tyres on what's a very cool morning here today in Tasmania.
Yeah, still plenty of dirt on that outside into turn number 4, so the driver's going to want to be careful of that, but great launch for Hazelwood on the restart. Perfectly controlled, eyes forward, and yeah, that first time into turn 4 on a restart is always tricky because you try and get as much tyre temp as you can on those safety car laps, but you still have cold tyres, cold brakes, so you just got to bring it back a little bit as we ride on board with James Moffat, still in 19th position, up to 18th. And he has Ben Gomersall in front of him. He goes for a big, looks like a big lunge now into turn 6, and I think he's made the position stick.
He has. There's 2 positions in the 1 lap for the former champ of 2023. 54 seconds is all it takes to do a lap this 2.4 kilometre 7-turn course at Symmons Plains. And now we settle in, heading down towards turn number 4 again. Morris on the outside of Lockie Evanet here, Formula Ford star. Who covers off Morris, but he's coming in hot aboard his Norwell Motorplex Super Cheap Auto Mustang. Tucks in behind the number 8 on the acceleration out of turn number 4. They create a big hole in the air, these cars.
They do, absolutely. They punch a big hole in the air, and this is where you can actually see that on board with Nash Morris. Not really anywhere he can go because Evanet's got the toe on Tom Davies, so it's kind of, I guess, removes that eye, and then Evanet's had a big lockup now into turn number 6, put under pressure, probably just looking in his rear vision mirror, and now he's just going to get hung out to dry. 3 positions he's lost just through that, so he'll be kicking himself over that lockup, but now Nash Morris up to 4th. So Morris, Hearn, Grice all fighting for that 4th position now.
It's a big punish, isn't it? Turn 6, you make a mistake, you tend to go backwards at a rapid rate of knots, so he drops back into 7th. Well, Grice lines up on the back of Hearn. Hearn pulls out for a phantom move, trying to force the issue on the Flash coming out of the turn 4 hairpin. So Hearn trying to right the wrong of lap number 1 in the Blue Gold Industries number 29 Ford Mustang, running under his own team banner in 2025. Started last year in the Dodge Challenger that won the series a couple of years back, but changed some panels over and turned into a Mustang. Down through turn number 6 we go.
Pinches a big front left brake there, does Nathan Hearn. So he might have put a mark on that tyre, as we spoke about on the opening lap into turn 4, and everyone's just locking front brakes here. So it is a pretty green track at the moment. And with that little bit of precipitation we have, the track is just not going to be as optimal as what it would have been for yesterday's qualifying and race. So they get 6 tyres from qualifying to race. So it'll be interesting to see the strategy on how they do that. And that's, someone's just bowled a wide in. So I think that was James Golding, just a little bit wide. Oh,
Josh Thomas.
Thomas gone round.
All that great work from yesterday where he went from 32nd up into 20th has put him back to that position. There's Cam Laws and Domain Ramsey in that seat, and Jason Pride. And the second of the TFH cars, they were all scattering down at turn number 6. And down the other end, number 5 machine, Blake Tracy, kicking up the dust in his first weekend, the Trico Trans Am Series. Through they come for another lap. So Hazelwood, 54.8 on that previous lap. The fastest lap, 54.5 back on lap number 5. We start the 9th lap with 10 minutes and 20 seconds plus 1 lap. In race 2 of Trico Trans Am, Mark Crutcher has come into pit lane in the Crutcher Developments Ford Mustang, car number 4. Hope it's not the same issue as yesterday with the gear selector drama he had. For Robbie Farr, the gear selector simply came out of the gearbox.
That doesn't make changing gears very helpful, does it?
No, it's like Crutcher saying there's steering dramas the way he's giving the signals down here.
A few cars have got their wipers on, so I don't know whether there's maybe a little bit more rain in the air, but whether that's what caught out the 69 of Joshua Thomas.
And there's I wonder if it is, yeah. There might just be enough down there to be attracting attention. Josh Haynes, certainly experienced enough to drive one of these cars, and he's bowled a big wide down there too and drops himself well outside the top 10, in fact to 19th position. It's down towards turn number 4 we go, so we'll keep an eye on the skies. I was about to say it was brightening up, but suddenly it's gotten darker out there.
Yeah, I actually saw a few drops on this lens, actually turn 4 on the previous lap, but whether it's worse maybe at the tail end of the track for turn 6, but it doesn't seem to be phasing our race leader. Todd Hazelwood riding on board now with James Moffat, who's up in the 13th place, riding behind Ben Barguana. So from a 26 start, up to 13th here.
He's got past Barguana because that's Jack Smith ahead in the SCT Logistics Mustang, the championship-winning car of Hazelwood's last year. So Moffat slicing his way through the field, and he needs to. After leading yesterday's race, found himself in 26 at the end. More replays now. Down at the bottom two, Jason Pride thinking he's back at the Perth Motorplex with that move at the hairpin, and drops him at least 3 or 4 positions in the Tasman Power Harman Transportation entry, and almost banks panels with John Hollinger as he returns to the racetrack.
Got to be so careful with the rejoin there, but we did just have the drift cars out before these guys.
Yeah.
Sort of gave me flashbacks to that, so he's managed to press on there with no damage. But yeah, Todd Hazelwood, a nice comfortable margin here, 9/10 of a second over Golding, so they're just keeping quite a nice little gap over third. Nash Morris about 2 seconds behind James, and seems like whether the rain might have stopped now, or that doesn't seem as treacherous at turn 6, but that, yeah, looked like an unforced error from Josh Haynes in the Herzog Steel Mustang.
And that's put him back up into 16th position on our screens now. So the TA2 Muscle Car Series champion from last year has parked himself in the middle of the field now as Moffat's gone past Jack Smith in the background. So he's knocking on the door of the top 10. He's got Jordan Cox just up the road. Well, James Golding just can't break into that 1 second barrier on Todd Hazelwood, who continues to lead the second race of Trico Trans Am. Here comes Nathan Hearn alongside the 42 of Tom Davies. And Battle Pack starting to brew as we make our way down towards turn number 6. Let's go to pit lane.
Yeah, just quickly, I've got Mark Crutcher straight out of the car. What's happened to the car?
Steering rack problem, I believe. I just couldn't turn left, so I was in the way. I was only going to cause some damage, so I thought it best I come in.
Mark, I also wanted to ask you quickly, track conditions out there at big field, small track, and also a bit of drizzle. How bad were track conditions for you?
Well, track conditions are okay. The thing about a big field, it's a quality field. You go hard-pressed to find a better field than this. The Barron and Gary, they put on a great show, and the quality of drive is proven by the product they're giving us. So these guys will handle it, no problem.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Such a larger-than-life character, Mark Crutcher. He's been doing the gig for a long time, and so excited about both the TA2 muscle cars and Trans Am going gangbusters in 2025. And he'll fight back. He loves his car racing. As we go back to Nash Morris. Clear air ahead for now. The man that runs in third position. There's the 2 leaders just ahead. It's into turn 6. The Worth in-car camera. So 6 minutes to go. Time's flying while we're having fun here. Feeds in another gear, and this uphill section feels like a roller coaster here, doesn't it?
It does. It certainly feels like that in the car as well. You have to do so much modulation on the brakes, especially in these sorts of cars where you just have no ABS, cross-ply tyre, and the car moves around so much. You can see that from the onboard. Nash going up through the gearbox up to 4th, heading down to turn number 4. Hard on the brakes, the car squirms and moves. You can actually see all that wheel work as the rear wants to step out. Everyone takes kind of a different line here at turn number 4, and as he exits the hairpin back down the back straight, he has a nice little buffer over 4th as well. So he's just sort of in his own little race at the moment with just over 5 minutes remaining. But Tom Davies is sort of lurking around there with that 8/10 margin. But I tell you what, I think Hearn and Grice having a battle as Hearn tries to keep that position on Grice. And that is, they're going to be side by side here, actually through the last corner. Grice and Hearn in the background. Not sure what the outcome is going to be just yet, Nolte. Looks like Grice has managed to get that move done finally on Nathan Hearn. 3 or 4 turns before they finally settle back into position. So Grice 5th, Hearn 6th. And Lockie Evanet runs in 7th with Elliot Barber, Jackson Rice and Jordan Cox also in the top 10. Josh Thomas in pit lane. So he's joined Mark Crutcher. He's been there for about 3 minutes now for the TFH High Mustang after being disqualified from qualifying yesterday for being 3 kilos underweight. Was the hard charger of yesterday's race, no doubt about it, from 32nd back up into 20th. But today looks like the office is closed, at least for this race, down in pit lane. Here comes the leader back to finish another lap. Gap goes out to 1.7 seconds. That time by 55 flat for Hazelwood and 55.1 for James Golding. A brand new car for TFH Racing.
And the reigning champ picked up where he left off in 2024 by grabbing pole yesterday. Led 9 laps of the race, picked up the fastest lap and maximum points on day number 1.
This little battle here with Hearn, Evanet and Barber is going to drag Rice and Moffat into it as well. I think Hearn's really probably struggling with those tyres. Had a few lockups at the start of this race. Oh, and Robbie Farr at the moment down into turn number 6.
And cruising back towards the track. So the number 70 Hi-Tec Oils Chevy Camaro. Is he heading back to the pits maybe? Nope, just taking the ultimate high line to let the leaders go by. So great observation from the mirrors. What happened to the 70? Well, he just came in hot, didn't he?
Yeah, too hot into there. And slammed the brakes on pretty hard late in the stop, probably realising he wasn't going to make it. And yeah, that's all she wrote, unfortunately. But he's gathered it up okay and rejoined the track safely, letting the leaders through. But just press on from there.
Spoke to him in the pits briefly. He's enjoying his time. He says, if I can run with the likes of Crutcher and Co, he's running in the Masters Cup class this season, he'll be more than happy. He knows how quality this field is. So to get some laps and finish a race, that's the aim of the game so far for Robbie Farr as he makes a transition from dirt tracks onto tarmac in the Trico Trans Am Series. Moffat now runs in 10th position. So he will be today's hard charger. From 26 on the grid, he's now inside the top 10.
Yeah, he's Hearn, he's, I think, really struggling with those tyres now. Just trying to defend for his life at the moment, and I think this is just going to really bring in the back end of the top 10 here. He's got Evanet behind him, who did such a great job yesterday on debut in Trans Am Australia, the 16-year-old, and still doing a great job. You know, to finish in the top 10 in this field on debut is no mean feat, and this is that battle pack. Hearn needs to try and have eyes forward here, not look behind, but with 2 minutes to go plus a lap, he's going to want to defend for his life here while he's in that top 6 position. So when you have pitched or when you have flat spots on your tyres, it really hurts you under braking because every lap it's trying to find that flat spot. So Moffat's just got past Rice as well, so Moffat up to position number 9.
And a minute and a half plus 1 lap. We jump in car with the former champion. It's a champion drive today, and it's been clean from the 34 car. On the way down to turn number 6, Robbie Farr on the left-hand side.
Awkward,
It is
very
very
awkward. And I
awkward.
think Moffat might be off here at turn number 6. And that's going to cost him all those positions that he made up. So that was really awkward, trying to go around the outside of Robbie Farr.
How's the curse job I just gave?
Commentator's curse.
Up until that point, it was clean, and then finds himself off the track and puts himself now well down the field.
Actually only lost 4 spots out of that, so it could have been a lot worse, but all that work. There's Hearn again, another locked break as Evanet gets the move done, but 3 wide through turn number 4. Moffat back down the inside of Bargwana, but I tell you what, Evanet and Hearn were going at it at the hairpin as well, so interested to see what happens down at turn number 6 with 33 seconds to go. So we'll probably get this lap plus 1 more. So Golding's actually really
come down
reeled
second.
in. Yeah, he's reeled in Hazelwood here. So whether Hazel was, I'd say, just managing that gap with 20 seconds to go. So Hearn has managed to hang on in front of Evanet as well. So there's a nice little battle pack here between the 3, 6th, 7th and 8th. Barber there. He's had a nice race as well, moving up a few positions. As someone's pulled off to the side out of turn number 4. Not quite sure who that is just yet.
It's going to be Ben Gomersall. So the 35-unit racing car has come to a stop. It's off the track at least. And I think that should be fine. With Hazelwood heading down towards turn number 6, they pulled away some 5 seconds to Nash Morris. Davies and Grice are next on the road. So down through turn number 6. And around to complete another lap. There should be 1 to go. With Elliot Barber, the lone bow tie inside the top 10. In the Pioneer DJ Chevy Camaro. Final lap. Hazelwood closing this one down. There's more smoke and dust on the way down to turn number 4. And another car off the track on the right-hand side.
I think it's Charlie Nash off on the exit of turn 4.
Now,
what happened there?
That's not just a lock-up. There's a lot of blue smoke there. I wonder if there's something mechanical. And he's pulled right off the track there. In fact, he's almost out in the sheep paddock on the right-hand side. It's a battlefield of cars parked down here today as down towards the last set of turns with more traffic ahead. Todd Hazelwood into turn number 6 he comes in a TFH hire, brand new number 1 Mustang, powers his way out of the final turn and grabs the win in race 2 of Trico Trans Am here today at Symmons Plains. A race full of attrition once again. Cars with wounds, but not for the number 1 car. A nice drive and holding back James Golding. And at the back is Jackson Rice. So he drops out of position 11. The First National Real Estate number 7 will get a result. But what has gone on with that Tickford 55? He's gone to the right-hand side and it's still smoking away. And the body language tells it all from the youngster.
Looks like there may be damage on the front of that car, so yeah, a bit of damage on that front left. So I don't know whether he's made contact with someone, but yeah, another faultless drive from Hazelwood. He has not put really a foot wrong so far this weekend, barring that start that he had against Moffat yesterday.
Yep.
But maximum points once again for Todd Hazelwood. And that last 3 minutes of the race, there was just action happening everywhere.
It was full on. Guess what? We'll do it 2 more times later today here at Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania. Todd Hazelwood, the winner from Golding, and Morris gets his first podium of the weekend with Davies, Grice, Nathan Hearn. Adam Garwood gets position 7 on our screens there. Evanet was next with Cox and Smith. Blake Tracy, James Moffat, the big mover, even with that little lose at the end, still manages 14 positions. Ben Barguana, Josh Haynes, Jared Hughes, Chase Hoy into Candelo Steel City 77 inside the top 20. And John Hollinger back in 23rd position. Robbie Farr, who spun, ended up in 27th position. And then a list of DNFs at the bottom of our screens. We'll take nothing away from our man at the top. The number 1 is 1 after 2 races in the Trico Trans Am Series here today at Symmons Plains. The highlights: 32 cars ready to be unleashed on Sunday morning here in Tassie. And it was pretty busy in the background, forcing Graham Cheney to take to the grass before he got to the control line. It was Hearn who was pushed back a few positions on the first lap. It is so narrow down there, and these guys are always too wide heading down there. Josh Webster, after the team repaired that car overnight, is facing the wrong direction, which forced an early race safety car. But James Golding made the move down here at turn number 6 on Tom Davies.
It was another great drive from James Golding as well, and Moffat had a great, fight back from 26 all the way inside the top 10 before that moment. This was that unforced error from Josh Haynes in the Herzog Steel entry down at turn number 6, which cost him a lot of positions. Pride, going back to his Speedway days, into turn number 4. And I think this was the Robbie Farr incident at turn number 6. Just went in too deep and trying to keep out of everyone's way for the rest of the race. So there was a lot going on in that last 5 minutes of the race. Nathan Hearn with that, we've got a fire for the Castrol Tickford Autosport pilot of Charlie Nash. So I don't know what's happened there. We'll have to unpack that. So whether there's looks more than just contact with the vehicle. I think that contact actually came from when he went off the track.
Yeah. Out in front though, Todd Hazelwood, just under a second was the victory for James Golding. Remember, he qualified 11th yesterday. So his move up the field continues and puts him the second outright for the weekend. It's all smiles though at TFH Racing. Todd Hazelwood grabbing a victory, his second one of the weekend. And he's ready to talk to Aaron Noonan down in Victory Lane. The toddler picks up another win.
Matty does, undefeated. This brand new car is 2 from 2. Well done. That looked a little easier today.
Look, Jimmy was on my tail, so I was just trying to, look after the gap, look after the tyre as much as I can. We had to sacrifice a tyre yesterday, so essentially 1 tyre down in our tyre bank. So, yeah, just trying to conserve as much as I could, but hey, the car was an absolute jet. So big thanks to my team at TFH Racing. We worked till nearly midnight last night trying to solve a few issues that we had yesterday's race, and most importantly, big shout out to my dad over there, Rusty. Happy 64th birthday. So no better present than getting a race win.
Now we know how old your dad is. That's the great part about all this. Hey, just before the cars left the lane to begin this race, There was a few sprinkles. It started raining. Did you notice any of that? Did that affect you at all, or did it need to be a lot more to be able to get your attention?
Yeah, look, to be honest, the first formation lap, the tyres were spinning up. I think, geez, this might be a bit of a sketchy start. But by the time we did that second formation lap, the tyres had come up to temp and I could feel the grip that was there. But yeah, you just never know. It's there was a lot. The rain was sort of coming first at turn 4, and that's obviously one of the main braking zones. So it just played it smart in that first lap, and fortunately it all paid off. So we'll see how we go in races 3 and 4. They're the big points races. So hopefully we can get the wins in those one.
Super stuff. Well done.
Thank you. So far so good.
There he is, Todd Hazelwood, the winner of race 2. We'll head around to our runner-up in the CTE 31 from GRM. James Golding, have a little debrief here with the dude, Paul Morris. We'll have a chat to your young fella in just a sec. Beeps, well bowled here. Closing up to Todd in that final couple of laps or two, but was he just taking a little easier, or were you trying a bit harder? What's the story there?
I don't know, probably a bit of both. I was pretty consistent, I thought, but didn't quite have the speed for Todd in the middle part of the race. I think the car's pretty good, just lacking a bit of straight line handling. So, yeah, we'll look at that. Obviously, this track's a lot of straight line handling, so there's only so much you can do. But, yeah, not a bad recovery, getting it back on the front row, hopefully for later today. And, yeah, after a difficult qualifying, so pretty happy.
Good stuff, well done.
Cheers, thanks.
And let's have a chat to the man who came on home in third in the 67, the Norwell Motorplex machine. The Flash, here with Terry Morris. Hello, mate. Well bowled. It looked like a little bit of a lonely race. The top two a little bit ahead, the guys behind not quite there, so a lot of open running there for you.
Yeah, I would have liked to have been in the battle a bit more, but, you still got to kind of look after your stuff for the next 2 races. That's the great thing about Trans Am racing. You don't blow the budget on the tyres, that's for sure. So you've got to save what you got and, look forward to the next race.
Hey, I'm just having a look down here at the left front of your tyre here. This Hoosier, there's a few marks on there. Whose are they?
Probably a fair few blokes, I'd say. But, I raced everyone clean, so Robin's racing.
That's the thing we love about Trans Am. There's marks sometimes, you just don't know where they came from. Well done.
Thanks very much. Thanks to my awesome team and my sponsors.
Nash Morris in third, Cam.
Yeah, I thought I'd come and grab the driver that finished 4th and having a great weekend. Tom Davies, yesterday you were in the top 3. Today you're kicking yourself over a top 4, yet your previous best was a 7th. How quickly the expectations rise.
I know, we had the pace there to be obviously in the top 3 again, just made a couple mistakes in the braking areas in the first few laps, which Morris got past us and then weren't able to capitalise and get past him in the end. So happy with P4. As long as we stay in the top 5 all weekend, score some good points, so I think we'll be happy.
You say you're happy, but when I came and spoke to you, you were like, I made a few mistakes, I did this, that and the other. What's clicked in terms of the form, how you're linking up with this car and getting these results where now, outside of the top 3, just doesn't seem to be good enough for you?
Well, you always strive for better, obviously, but yeah, we're getting more comfortable with this car, second year in the car, and we're also doing TA2 rounds, so we're getting more seat time, which is good, it's helping us out a lot, so yeah.
So just on that point, because I just want to stay with it, because you're having a really good weekend. We've got 2 more races coming up today, and you've said top 5 is your expectation. What is it you've unlocked in this car? Why are you more comfortable this weekend than, say, last season being your first season?
I'd say just more seat time, like more time in the car. You obviously get more comfortable with the car, and then, yeah, obviously doing TA2 and this round as well, so we're a bit more fresh. So we're not having big breaks in between, so yeah, it's good.
All right, good luck for the next 2.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Come alive, hasn't he, this year in the 42 machine. Tom Davies. Say, calm down for now and have a think about what to do for the 3rd race of the weekend and race 2 of the day, which will come up later on today as part of Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania. And a couple of teams, you're a little bit concerned about that 55. That was a lot of flame.
It was, yeah. I don't know whether there's maybe an oil line that's come off that thing, because there was certainly a serious fire underneath it, and I think all that front bar damage was from when he actually aborted off the racetrack and got out of everyone's way and it's dug in there. But, yeah, that's not an ideal situation when we don't have long between these races. It's a quick fire format this weekend. But, yeah, great to hear from Tom Davies. I mean, weekends like this, it's such a confidence boost for Tom Nolts, because he gets his first top 3 finish yesterday. Like Cameron said, he's disappointed with 4th. So how quickly the expectations change. But normally when you're on a roll like that, the confidence is up, you're feeling good in the car, that's when these results start to click. So he'll be feeling really confident for the next race and just hopefully keep it clean. Even if it's 4th or 5th, those top 5 positions, you just need to bank the points. And when you leave the first round, if you can bank a solid point gap or amount of points heading to round number 2. It just puts you in a really good headspace.
And while we're keeping the excitement moving here at Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania, Easter long weekend, probably going to be the biggest 6-hour production car race ever. A field of over 70 is entered for that event. My goodness, that's going to be a spectacle to watch. April 18 to 20. Tickets on sale now. Bathurst6hour.com.au. The Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6-hour weekend. Bathurst's biggest enduro, no question about it. Keeps growing every year we head up there. The Trico Trans Am Series will feature up there with a great undercard as well. So check it out up there on the Easter long weekend. It's only a couple of weeks away. This series continues to build up over 2025. Race Winton will feature later in the year at August. Really looking forward to going back to Mallala for the homecoming in November. It's going to be a day-night affair there at the historic old airstrip out there, about an hour from Adelaide. Well, probably not an hour now with the roads out there these days. It really has expanded out that part. But a lot of cool racing is happening out in that part of the world. It's going to be a busy week with that round and then finishing at the Adelaide Grand Final the following weekend.
Yeah, excellent calendar here. And yeah, Mallala, such an awesome track for racing. I've been lucky enough to race there back in Formula Ford 2014. And
great Formula Ford track.
Absolutely. And watching my dad in the early 2000s racing in national sports sedans as well. So a young Richard Crail used to call that. So yeah, excellent track for racing. And the Hi-Tec, or the Bathurst 6-hour that we'll be seeing for the next round. I'm going to be back behind the wheel of the BMW M2 with the Cabbage brothers, and I'm pretty excited for that. And like you said, it's over 70 cars. Don't remind me.
It's going to be crazy. We didn't need 70 cars yesterday to have excitement with the Australian Prototype Series. The boys drove really hard. They raced as a pack yesterday, and in the end, it'd be a bit of feeling as Jason Macris led us away in the early stages. John Paul Drake in the all-black 66. And it's a case of everybody leading some laps here. That was Mark Lauke making an early move on Aaron Steer. This was Paul Martin, who would spin himself out of contention and park at the end of lap number 1. JP Drake just set the field on fire here, lap after lap. I think everybody led at least 2 or 3 laps yesterday.
They did, and they just kept trading places between Phil Hughes, Macris, JP Drake. We didn't know what the game plan was, but I think they must have had a chat pre-race. So this was Hughes and JP Drake going basically side by side through turn number 1, and then Macris heading up the inside out of turn number 2. So they were having a bit of fun out there, and I guess we teased the prospect of, hang on a sec, maybe these boys may accidentally race a bit too hard, which I'm sure we'll see very shortly that is what ended up being the case, and this is what led to our race finishing on a safety car. Potentially a bit of miscommunication between the two, a bit awkward between the Jam Motorsport teammates. We ultimately finished the first race under safety car, and now Aaron Steer, who was behind the wheel of the Wolf Thunder Class AP3 car, he's done a driver change. JP Drake is now behind the wheel of that car, and it seems like they have withdrawn the Wolf Extreme F1 entry that JP Drake was actually in from the weekend.
That's such a weapon.
Yeah. I feel like that may have been a somewhat awkward debrief within the team.
Yeah, I think we saw 3 or 4 of the field actually walking out the stewards last night when we were walking back into our production room here at the end of yesterday's coverage. So they'll play nicely today. I think I just found where that rain was coming from. It's one of those big water pipes in the background. That shot there, maybe. The sun's coming out here. We weren't expecting any wet stuff today, but hey, it is Tasmania. It is an island. Every now and then, it wouldn't hurt us today.
No, it wouldn't. And now the weather seemingly has turned on for us. I think we're going to be looking pretty good for the rest of the day, Nolts. I think a top of 21 or 22 degrees today, very similar to yesterday. And
Mark Lauke seen at the end of pit lane. So he'll start this race from pit lane with the red light on there. So he's either missed the start. So Jason Macris and Phil Hughes on the front row. JP Drake and Lauke won't be on that second row now. Paul Martin, the Lone Ranger, back there in the Wolf Thunder machine. A small field, sadly, this weekend for the Australian Prototype Series opener. In fact, I think they've got their State Series racing happening as well at the bend there. Pretty much the entire field is based out of the South Australian venue these days, as the Buckley Motors safety car is about to leave the field away. Timed race, of which it's starting to count down already. No pit stops required in this. Earlier today, we had the second race, which was won by Jason Macris. He's the reigning champ for Jam Motorsport, and won by nearly 4 seconds from Phil Hughes. And JP Drake in that one. A few more raindrops on that lens compared to what we saw last time by. And like this field needed any precipitation yesterday.
That is actually a fair bit of rain that's falling. So I don't know whether that's just at turn 6, but another commentator's curse, it would seem.
That's looking quite heavy.
And now remember, these cars, Wings and Slicks cars, so this is probably the last thing they would want. And you can see quite a bit of rain falling here, so see what happens here. I'm sure they'll get the green light.
Well, they call it sun showers perhaps, because down here it's bone dry. Into one, they walk these cars through, and they were so lucky not to go off. So someone just pressed pause.
Oh no, and he's crashed into the wall, the number 12, Paul Martin.
Got away with it.
Got away with it, I think maybe with a little bit of damage, but side by side into turn number 1, Hughes and Macris all just being very gingerly on this opening lap. You can see the rain.
Dropping, yeah. It's heavy there now.
Raining.
At turn 4. It's a mist of rain here. On their way through turn 5, they'll need to tiptoe through here because down at 6 was the heaviest point of rain.
I think rein it back a bit here, boys. Cold tyres, cold brakes, a wet track.
And by rein it back, you mean pull it back, not rain.
Pull the reins back. So this is not a nice feeling for a driver when it's raining on slicks. So I don't know whether, if the rain gets any worse, whether race control may have to intervene here. And these cars don't do pit stops. They're not equipped to do a quick tyre change. So it could be a case, if it keeps raining, of potentially suspending the race so it doesn't get too dangerous. But this is a really treacherous part around turn 3 because you are quite laterally loaded through there when it's dry. So we saw it caught out Martin, and he's come to the lane, so he's obviously got, it looked like rear damage when he spun and hit the concrete wall. So they're still racing hard considering the rain, so just got to be careful.
Oh, little bump. Drake on the back of Macris, and Hughes got a whole lot of wheel spin on the exit of turn 4, and he'll lose the lead now, probably drop back in the 3rd. Drake hawks him through that right-hander, so Macris, the reigning champ, goes back into the lead as they tiptoe their way through a damp racetrack at turn number 6. Changeable conditions here. Imagine this in the Trico Trans Am race in the last few laps. Wow.
Yeah, that would have been pretty intense. They're coming around for their first completed lap. Let's have a look at the lap time, Nolt. So they're doing 53s in dry conditions there at 1 minute and 6 seconds, or 1 minute and 7. So about 11 or 13 seconds off the pace. So the rain is still actually falling pretty heavily out there. And these cars being open roofs, no windscreen wipers. And it's hard to judge as a driver in these conditions. When you're in an open car, you can't really gauge how hard the rain is falling because you're going at sort of 150 or 180, 200 kilometres an hour down the back straight, and it's hard to tell how fast the rain is falling. So you've just got to kind of guess as you go. And each lap, as the rain continues to fall, and there only being 4 cars on the track isn't going to heat up. You know, it's hard for the water to be dispersed, if you like, and the condition is just going to get probably worse and worse for these guys every lap if the rain continues to fall.
And those slick tyres weren't up to operating temperature before that. Normally, if you had a shower mid-race like this, you could cope with it. It's when we start getting those big pools of water out there, it becomes a drama. But they are finding it quite twitchy out there at the end of this lap. But they're doing fine so far. Mark Lauke is out on the track, but 15 seconds away from this trio with Paul Martin, who had that spin, and we thought maybe win coming out of turn 2, I should say. He's gone back into the pits in car 12 as Lauke in the bright yellow entry makes his way down into turn 1, walking this car around. He's been around the gig for a long time in car 55.
It's a good number, that one. Car 55.
It is. Is that your number of choice?
Well, that's where I started my career in main game supercars, 2022, and when the team scaled back to 2 cars, there was the option of going back to car 5, and I thought, you know what, I've pretty much my whole career in main game supercars, I've been 55, and Rod Nash being team owner, that was his number. So I sort of said to Rod, hey, how about we just keep the tradition going? And that was pretty much the conversation. So that's where the 55 has stayed in, and a lot of history with that 55 number, and yeah, pretty cool to be running what was the boss's number back in the day.
Remember that number very well. Another lap in, so Hughes, a little bit of a margin now on the field. 1.2 seconds to Macris and Drake, who's behind the wheel of the car that Aaron Steer raced in yesterday. While his car, a little bit too much damage to push on today after that last lap collision with he and Macris in race 1 yesterday. First round of this year's Australian Prototype Series.
Looks pretty slippery down there in turn number 4. Judging from our cameras, you'd say the rain has eased a bit. So the tyre temperature is still coming up now, probably a bit more normalised now that we're about 4 or we're on their 5th lap of the Symmons Plains Raceway, but the times are starting to fall a bit more. So I think the track condition is ever so slightly improving. Definitely no rain like we were seeing on the opening lap and the formation lap at turn 6. So they're just tiptoeing their way through, trying to keep off all the curbs, all the painted white lines. And it's a tricky track here because there's a lot of long laterally loaded corners. You're coming out of turn 6, turn 7. So if you have a moment in the wet, it's very easy to lose the back end and you know, have an oopsie if you like. And also out of turn 3, which we saw on lap 1 for Martin. So yeah, he's back to I would say back to his garage. See if he can get that car fixed up. But yeah, that's left us with just the 4 prototypes on the track at the moment. This is probably the slipperiest corner, I would say, looking at the footage, turn 4 and turn 6 as well. A few slides out of there for JP Drake. So it's all going on out there. He's just set the purple first sector in the race as well, but having to get to grips with this car, considering he was in the Wolf Extreme F1 yesterday. So Phil Hughes out in front. He's the pioneer in these conditions. So Macris will be in behind, seeing where he's braking for turn 1, turn 4 and turn 6 and saying, hey, okay, if you're braking there and you're pulling the car up, I could probably brake at the same point or maybe even slightly later. So that's the toughest job for Hughes at the moment, trying to find where the grip is, being the leader. And for Macris, he's got one eye on Hughes at his braking point and his brake lights, and then he's got Drake right in behind him as well. So these two having a little bit of a battle here as JP Drake just shows the nose down into turn number 4. The gap now 1.8 seconds out in front for Phil Hughes.
They're just cruising away. It's been around the category for a long time. In fact, it goes back to the days of what was the Sports Racer Series, when he ran a little Suzuki combination in a Radical. Of course, the Prototype Series was morphed out in 2017. Hughes, originally born in England, now lives in Melbourne. And Macris, JP Drake, just getting a little close for comfort coming out of turn number 6.
I think he just wanted to read what was written on the back of the rear wing end plate again.
There's plenty to read on that car. It's a beautifully presented car, the Macris one, up close, with different kinds of graphics and shapes and designs on it. The reigning champ from last year, he's been a multi-time winner in prototypes and in sports races over the years. JP Drake, happy to drive anything. The South Australian tucks right in behind the gearbox.
I don't think you could get any closer there.
Reading the champ is here, probably almost on his lens.
He'd be sick of reading that, I reckon.
Yeah. Through the right-hander they go. Well, we go to pit lane. Noons has got some news.
Matt, you said the champ is here. I've got the reigning Touring Car Masters champ, Adam Garwood, and I thought I should come and speak to a Tasmanian, Adam. What's this weather going to do? It's suddenly sunny all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Certainly wasn't on my radar with a bit of rain, but the sun's starting to come back out, so yeah, hopefully beautiful sunny Tasmania appears this afternoon.
That last Trico Trans Am Series race, there was plenty going on. You came home in 7th. Tell me about your weekend so far.
It's been pretty up and down. I got caught out with the new tyre in practice and qualifying, so I sort of had to relearn the car and the tyre then. So was running 9th-ish in the first race and got caught up in a bit of an incident there. I outbroke myself at the hairpin and ended up in 17th. So it's a fun race this morning. Started 17th and ended up in 7th.
That's pretty good. 10 spots that'll get you for that Up on the Wheel award that we've got in Trans Am from Max Pappas Industries. There's a steering wheel trophy every weekend of the year and a nice big fat steering wheel at the end of the year. So it's not the award that you want to be winning, but what can you do from 7th? If you got 10 in that race, you get 10 in the next race, you win by +3.
Hopefully, yeah. So no, we'll just keep working at it and we'll learn every race and every session and keep pushing forward, and who knows where we end up.
Good to catch up. All the best for race 3 a bit later on.
Awesome, thank you.
Another one of the great Tasmanian talents here, Adam Garwood, who was a sports GT champion. It was their domestic championship they ran back here for many years. In 2015, he ran a Porsche 991 on radial tyres. And that's when we saw the arrival of the young Tasmanian. Both he and his dad, Greg, who used to run that Capri, the Piranha that used to run in Touring Car Masters, and then stepped into that Commodore built by Gerard McLeod last season and swept away the Touring Car Masters crown. Also has been a handy sprint car staff the last few seasons, and we're starting to see, you know where I'm going with this one, with what Cam's been doing, Cam Waters has been doing in the sprint cars the last couple of years, keeping the drivers sharp during the off-season.
Yeah, he's been keeping very busy in the, well, Colin McQuinn owned 410.
The
Chief Racing. So every year he's just been stepping it up, Cam, with the Speedway, and he had a very busy off-season this year. I think he, at one stage, did about, 4 or 5 nights in a week. So he loves racing that Speedway car, or that sprint car, and I had the pleasure, Nolts, of being a passenger with him at Sydney Speedway in the spare Gen 3 Mustang supercar on the dirt. So that was a bit of fun. That was before we raced at round 1 there at Sydney Motorsport Park. But yeah, likes to keep sharp in the Speedway. And yeah, it's actually great to go and watch him. I really enjoy it with all the guys there. And yeah, it's some great racing. Went down to Avalon. Got to watch Cam there as well. Domain Ramsey doing a good job too. And it's cool to see Domain and those guys, Robbie Farr, Jason Pride, having a crack at Trans Am racing too.
Yeah, great to see the crossover from both sides of the track. Well, while one 55 driver sits up here, Cam's got another one of the 55 drivers down in pit lane.
Are you talking about people going round and round in circles throwing dirt at each other there, Tom? And there's plenty of dirt on this car here. Charlie, sorry to see what happened out there. Can you tell us what actually happened?
Yeah, so obviously we had a bit of an incident into turn 4, just pushed out wide and had nowhere to go. But yeah, that's not the big one for that race. Obviously did the engine, and yeah, there's nothing short than disappointing for that race. It was so close to finishing it, and yeah, I thought we were doing pretty good as well, so it's pretty disappointing that happened.
So much repair work on the car. That's the first question, with a follow-up of the progressive grid makes it difficult when you finish out on track. You've got a long road ahead of you for the next 2 races.
Yeah, well, obviously I was starting at the further back of the grid. And yeah, so we'll be starting at the back of the grid now, if we can get the car out again. But yeah, it's just a whole new engine that the boys need to put in, but they're best in pit lane, so hopefully they can turn it around.
And just quickly, how's it been so far this weekend? The category's going from strength to strength. I've read a fair bit in the media about how good a developmental category this is. From your own perspective, is that what you're using Trans Am for at the moment? Where does it sit within your future ambitions?
Yeah, it's a great class. It's kind of bridges the gap between 86s and into the Super 2. We found it just too big of a gap to go through that, and yeah, we thought Trans Am's a fantastic class to kind of bridge that gap.
All right, well, we'll go back to Tom Randall because he's telling us just how good everything is in the world. And we were just actually having a conversation, Tom, about how many words you use, and we're all getting a bit nervous in microphone land that you're coming for our jobs.
Oh, don't worry, Cameron. You're safe with me, okay?
I've actually left the commentary box. No.
Nolty, where did Nolty go? It's just me up here now. No, look, yeah, that's a shame for Charlie, and I don't know how that engine actually blew. So hopefully they can get that thing back out. Whether or not it'll be for the next race of Trico Trans Am Series, which will be in just over an hour's time. So cars will be rolling out in about 50 minutes for the grid walk.
So not much time before their second race today and their third one. Well, someone will be pretty happy with the progression and the growth of this category is Barry Rogers, and Noons is with him now.
Absolutely, Matt, and as we get ready for the next Trico Trans Am Series race, we've got a little bit of news ahead of the next race. We've got some Hyundai Excels racing, but Barry, you've got a bit of news about Hyundais and Trans Am that's really great in terms of an opportunity for a young driver.
Yeah, look, really a lot of time we're coming to Tasmania for a start, and Marcus got us involved following with our Hyundais down here. Obviously Tabitha's racing, and we're giving a the winner of the weekend, we're going to have a Trans Am test with GRM up at Winton during the year. And look, it's a great little feeder category. Real passionate races. You see families across there in the paddock. You know, mums on the barbecue, dads doing the tyre pressures, the drivers under the car doing things. It's really great, and a bit of a reward for the weekend winner. At this point, I see Jackson Shaw's looking pretty sharp up the front, but we never know what's going to happen in these final 2 races today.
GRM has such a long history of bringing in young drivers, helping develop not just drivers but crew members as well. It's another great thing, another great initiative that you guys put together. Well done.
Yeah, it is. And down in Tassie, we obviously have our combine down here early in the year with Marcus, and it's important to bring young people through. It's a very difficult sport, obviously. Huge costs to get involved, and we're fortunate enough that we've got the resources to give people an opportunity. So who knows what'll come out of all of this.
Next thing on the horizon, Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour. Do we get the record field of 72 production cars? That's the maximum that we can have there.
Well, you know all the stats, Noon, so I'm pleased you told me 72 was a record. I think at this point we're looking like we might just we might nudge it. So look, it's a great event. It's probably, you go back to how Bathurst started back in the day, where people would drive their cars to the track, pull off the number plates and start racing. That's really what production car racing is. And the 6 hour race has got very competitive in recent years. And I think if we can break that record and have them lined up Conrod Straight, look fantastic.
Pack the Easter eggs. We're ready next month. Easter at the Mountain sounds like a good one.
Hopefully the weather spot on Noons too. Who knows up there? But certainly we'll have the eggs and a couple of beers as well.
A couple of cheeky ones. We'll see you later.
See you guys.
So much energy, Barry Rogers. It's like the man never sleeps. Certainly doesn't feel the cold anyway. Rarely do you see him in a set of jeans or pants down there in pit lane while there's been a change of the lead and another change of the lead during the space of that interview. Macris went to the lead for a moment. They were actually rubbing guards, I guess it's fair to say, on the way out of turn number 4. So they know time is starting to run out. The defending Australian Prototype Series champion wants to get on with it here and get another race victory.
Great incentive, just touching on that interview with Barry Rogers. Offering a test day in one of their Trans Am cars for the round winner of this weekend's Hyundai XL Series. And that's going to be a little nice battle between Jackson Shaw and William Twining. They're only separated by about 7 points, so keep an eye out for that one when they have their last race later. Well, they've got 2 races to go, race 3 and race 4. So that's great incentive for them,
Yeah, it's huge. And Marcus Ambrose helping out with that as well to make it a possibility. He's helping out with Josh Webster's team this year, along with running the Formula Ford Stars and Renegade Series. As well as down the inside and taking no for an answer is Macris into turn 4 hairpin. Hughes was perfect on the execution of turn 4 and has better drive, but Macris parking the number 1 car in the middle of the road and forcing Hughes to the outside in the closing stages. Hughes sweeps back, mega move.
This give me flashbacks of yesterday's opening race here, Nolts, and it was a nice little exchange there. He's managed to, I guess, do the over-under. So, oh no, we've got JP Drake who's pulled over to the side.
And it was third position, locked and loaded, but now is parked, and it's on the run towards turn number 4 where the
be careful here.
Leaders are coming.
Number 3, double wave yellows are out. It sounded like he couldn't maybe select a gear there. It just seemed like just here trying to find a gear, but that's a bit of a shame for JP Drake. So these two are still having a nice little battle there, but I fear that they might have to finish this one under safety car. Just where JP Drake's parked, it's very awkward out of turn number 3, but these guys are still going at it. Macris in the tow, and we go safety car.
Was also going to take away one of the key passing points, would leave us only with turn 6.
I don't think these guys are aware that they're under safety car, as Phil Hughes puts his arm out to say, whoa, hold up, buddy. We're under yellows here, so I think this race will be finishing under safety car with only a minute remaining.
There's only a minute to go anyway, so that will finish the race under safety car. Quite surprised they didn't just throw the checkered there to finish that one off with just 3 cars, including Mark Lauke, remaining. So JP Drake, who was in a 3rd position in the Aaron Steer car today, has come to a stop, and this race will finish under the Buckby Motors safety car. In race 3, with one more still to come of the Australian Prototype Series, their season opener for 25. They'll be part of the undercard at the Hi-Tec Oils Bathurst 6 Hour on the Easter long weekend. They'll be at Sydney Motorsport Park on June 20 and 21. And make their way across to the Bend on the international course on August 22 to 24, and then finishing up Phillip Island in Victoria on the October long weekend in a 5-round series in 2025. Of course, always happens. Soon as it comes for assistance, the car decides to play. We call that stage fright, don't we?
I don't know how that's worked. So whether he's just on a Control-Alt-Delete in there, and yeah, I'm not sure what that issue would have been. Maybe lost power or lost gears, but seems to have reset itself at a mostly convenient time, Nolts, right as the Ford Raptor went to recover him. So I think we'll just be finishing under. I'd say they'll be taking the checkered flag this time by. It's like all that rain as well, Nolts, has disappeared. So should be in for hopefully a dry race for which will be the 3rd Hyundai XL race. And as we just touched on, that lovely incentive from Gary Rogers Motorsport. So they announced that this morning. So this could be some interesting racing for the rest of the day, because there's a bit more to play for in the 2 remaining XL races this afternoon.
Yeah, great initiative for the category. It's behind the Buckby Motors safety car. Comes the field to greet the flag, and Phil Hughes will collect a victory under safety car as he acknowledges the checkered flag from Jason Macris and Mark Lauke, who will be 3rd. JP Drake was the reason the safety car came out, even though he's shown 3rd on the track there. He's a lap down and will place 4th, with Paul Martin once again a DNF after that spin coming out of turn 2 here and collecting the wall early in the race. Hughes picking up the win. Macris and Mark Lauke in position number 3, in race number 3. So Lauke, even though it's running on his own back there in the Tornado car, gets himself some points. But at the moment, Macris looking good to take the round on us, with one race still to come today in the Australian Prototype Series as part of Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania. The highlights of race number 3 of the weekend, with a shower of rain added into the mix. It was quite heavy down there at turn 6, and the cars were caught out by the conditions here at turn number 1. All lucky not to head off onto the gravel trap. But watch the last car in shot here. Bit of wheel spin, spins the car around, returns to the track, but would head to the pits moments later. Leave us with the 4 cars on the track. This was Macris trying to make the move on the outside, but the conditions were quite treacherous out of turn 4, and even worse down at turn 6.
Yeah, not the most ideal conditions to start the race while everyone's on cold, slick tyres. And yeah, unfortunately for Martin, had that moment clouding the wall out of turn number 3. And these 3 were just going at it for most of the race and trying some different lines out of turn number 4. Hughes trying to put that move back on Macris, but you can just see that wheel spin with how slippery the track is. And JP Drake just hanging in there behind in position number 3. And these 2 were just trading places pretty much all race, right towards the end as well. This was that move into turn number 4 that Macris put on Hughes. And Hughes going for, as what we call the classic switchback, and the run down into turn number 6, getting that move back on Macris at turn number 6. So then we had JP Drake pull over to the side in a very awkward position between turns 3 and 4, and the Buckby Motors safety car grabbed control of the field, which we ultimately finished under safety car. And JP Drake got that thing fired back up, so not quite sure what the problem was there, but maybe a Control-Alt-Delete. And now we're back with our race winner, Phil Hughes, as he climbs out of the car.
Pretty happy with that result, no question about it. Down there toward Aaron Noonan with our race winner.
Oh, yeah, Matt, I'm just diving in from the side here. Hello, Phil Hughes. Lovely to see you. We'll let you get your gear off, and, well, not all of it, just the helmet and gloves. We'll just let him get sorted here and get on out. We've known Phil for a long time, not just racing these things, but he's worked on many a great race car for many a great driver in his time. Hey, mate, well done. I know it's a small field there, but you guys are getting into it. These are perfect little cars for a track like this. That looked good fun.
Yeah, the bit of rain at the start certainly sorted them out, didn't it? And that was exciting because it's sketchy. It's like really sketchy. The rain lifted out, oh, God knows what. And I was ragging it, right? There's BOP in play, but I think we're all having a go there. And that side drafting down the back there, that's hairy, man, Christ. Yeah.
And then there's a car parked on the way down to the hairpin with a couple of laps to go there.
Yeah, so that sort of, I think Jason might have got me, honestly, but that saved me, didn't it? So, yeah, I'll take that. That's the big points race too.
Well done. Well played.
Thanks, man. Thanks. That was really good.
We've also got rolling on in here, second place Jason Macris in the one car, and the noise that you can hear in here is the blowers, because they're trying to keep these things cool. Of course, when they're on the track, they're generating cool air to keep these cars cooler, but once they stop, they just don't generate any air through them. So that's why those Makita blowers are in the front here. Good to see these boys getting together. We might just quickly have a chat with Jason as he steps out of the car. Gloves, helmet, hands device. Almost there. There he is. Hey, mate, well bowled. You and Phil were having a bit of fun there at the end there. That was a bit of fun.
Yeah, that was really wild at the start there. It just got more wet and then gradually started to dry up. We could get the wet line back, the dry line back, and then then I had to go and try to gun down Phil Hughes. It was really hard.
Great race. We'll see you a bit later on.
Thank you, mate.
There you go, guys. Prototypes are done. Hyundais are coming up next.
Well done, Noons. Great job down there in Parc Ferme. Hang on a sec, where am I at? Which track are we at? It's Simmons Plains, and we've got the Hyundai XLs out on track. I'm Cameron Vandendungen, joined in the commentary box at the moment by Thomas Randall. Great to have you on board. And just before we went down to those stop area interviews with Aaron Noonan, you referred to what the XLs are duking it out for at the moment. And the two drivers up top, the number 10 of Jackson Shaw and the number 11 of Will Twining, are both well and truly in contention, as are a couple of other drivers, but they're the favourites to get a steer in one of our very cool Trans Ams. Here is your starting grid for race 3 of the Hyundai XLs. Jackson Shaw and Will Twining will be on the front row. Dylan Cooper and Tabitha Ambrose will be on row number 2. Row 3, Adam Brewer and Connor O'Shea. Damien Midgley and Benjamin Davey off row number 4. Rick Burt and Jonathan Marshall will be off row 5. And then at the back of the grid will be Leslie Axelson and Denzel Sargent. Although Denzel Sargent did stop early on yesterday and we didn't see him take part in the race, only 2 points next to his name. We'll be right on board with Tabitha Ambrose and Thomas Randall. The Hyundai XL, whilst they look on the outside like they belong out on the as your daily driver, they're actually a great fun little package to race.
They are. They're a great category and a good place to learn racecraft. Something we touched on yesterday, Cameron, and you can bang doors, learn about mechanical sympathy, and I've had the pleasure of racing in 2, the Bend Enduros as they're called, with Charlie Nash, who's racing this weekend in the Trans Am. Unfortunately blew an engine in that last race, so have to get to the bottom of, I guess, why that happened, and they're working pretty hard to get that thing out for the next race with an engine change. But as they pull up to the grid, it was announced this morning from Barry Rogers that there'll be a lovely incentive for the Hyundai XL ACL Race Series this weekend. The round winner not only will take the spoils, but get a test in one of their TA2 cars.
And I think it'll be our front row that are the ones in contention, because right now Jackson Shaw has one hand on the steering wheel of a Trans Am. We're not far away from a race start. Race 3, the Hyundai XL ACL Race Series, as part of the 2025 Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania, and we're away and racing in race number 3. And our front row immediately goes side by side. Contact down into turn 1. And that was between Jackson Shaw and Will Twining. And now Tabitha Ambrose finds herself in the lead of this motor race. No, Will Twining able to rejoin, but he shortcut the first chicane. So Twining.
That's going to have big implications here for Shaw, because I don't understand how they made contact there. It looked like he came across him to try and get the lead, try and do a Moffat repeat of yesterday's first Trans Am race. Maybe they just had that in the back of their minds that that Trans Am driver's up for grabs, fighting over for the first position.
I have no doubt that has actually turned up the heat in the kitchen of Hyundai XL Racing, side by side, out of the hairpin heading up towards the sweeper. And it's Will Twining from Tabitha Ambrose, the eldest daughter of Marcus Ambrose. Cooper and Shaw duking it out as they head down at the back of the sweeper to the final 2 turns and get ready to set off on another lap. A lock-up that we're used to seeing in Hyundai XL, particularly early on in the race.
Just under 10 minutes remaining. And there's the 97 of Marshall. He's second last on the road. Sargent did not take the start. We head back around for another lap.
Now, they've managed to get away with that, Cam, because Shaw is back up to position number 3 as we see the race start. Great shot here on board with Tabitha. And
spot on. That was the exact same move that Moff put on to Todd Hazelwood at the beginning of the Trans Am race number 1. You see him cover off. Now, the reality is Jackson Shaw gave no quarter. He actually held his line. The question that race control will be asking is which way did the hands of both of those drivers go? Was it Will Twining just opening up the wheel, or was it Jackson Shaw turning into him? And this is Jackson Shaw we ride on board with, looking out the rear window. 23, or sorry, yeah, of Prua. Oh, there was contact, the 23 into the 28 of O'Shea. And as they are now, O'Shea maintained the lead, and that was in the battle for 5th spot.
So that'll be a play on there, and it's going to be interesting to see how race control deem that into turn number 2, because I think it was a case of 2 into 1 doesn't go, and they're both fighting over the same bit of real estate. And now
Jackson Shaw
back up into 2nd position.
These two have done a fair bit of racing together. Tabitha Ambrose and Jackson Shaw, both Tasmanians, both part of the Hyundai XL racing scene down here. Will Twining also there, so they're used to racing bumper to bumper, door handle to door handle, and Jackson Shaw needed to get through, because as it stands right now, he would still hold on to the lead in the battle for a test drive of a Trans Am with Gary Rogers Motorsport.
Twining's not going to make this easy for Shaw, though, because he's vying for that opportunity as well. So it's 4 points, if it stands, is the gap between those two in the overall round honours with 1 more race to go. So putting now half a second between Twining and Shaw, and there's going to be a little bit of beat between them after what happened at turn 2 on lap number 1.
There's more to play out on that. I think race control will have a look and see whether there was any blame. They've both been able to continue racing, so maybe just called a racing incident and it was all sorted, but I dare say they'll have a look at it. Twining, Shaw, Ambrose and Cooper. We rode on board with Tabitha Ambrose before, down to 2nd gear at the hairpin. She had a good exit there and has been able to hook onto the back of Jackson Shaw.
She needs to hang in there to just keep the toe as well, Cameron, because if she just drops off a little bit, it's going to make it really tough for later in this race. And there's about 7 minutes to go here, so we've got probably another 6 racing laps, I'd say, and Twining's just got to get the head down, eyes forward, not think about the car behind. That gap just hovering around that half a second.
We're just watching the entry speed of Jackson Shaw into these corners, very strong under brakes. So Will Twining now has him for company at the hairpin. Tabitha Ambrose trying to stay with them, but at the moment they're starting to break away at the front, and she'll be having to look in her rear mirrors at Cooper and O'Shea, who are starting to loom large. And that's who we ride on board with right now, Tabitha Ambrose, looking up at Jackson Shaw, 2nd place man, and you can see Twining. Now, this is going to be interesting after the sweeper. Shaw might be getting close enough to put a move on, or maybe 1 more lap, but he's getting closer.
He just set the fastest lap of the race in the last time by, an 11.1, 3/10 faster than our race leader. And Tabitha Ambrose is about 9/10 of a second behind Shaw now, so she's just sort of dropping out of that toe.
Whilst you say that, she's the fastest of all through the middle sector this last time around, and now the move starts to come from Jackson Shaw on Will Twining. This is where he's stronger. The 10's all over the back of the 11. But the exit out of the chicane goes the way of Will Twining.
He just got a little bit too close there, did Shaw, into turn number 2, trying to brake a little bit too late and then losing that momentum off of turn number 2. And Twining just got to focus on those exits. But while he's out in front punching the air, these cars don't have a lot of horsepower, so yeah, a few lock brakes you can hear.
I was about to say brake bias and adjustment. What adjustability do you have in the Hyundai XL?
No, there's no brake bias. You have to actually adjust that externally.
Yeah,
so after the session.
Just watching under brakes to the hairpin, Tabitha Ambrose looks like she's dancing around on the rears, and you go, maybe just unbalanced on the car and the way they brake. But we go back to our leaders, Twining and Shaw. And Shaw well and truly has it dialed in under brakes, but maybe compromising exit speed with too much corner entry speed. So we look further back down the order, but back to the front. That's where the battle's on. That's where it's hot. And this is where the 10 is much stronger. The first part of the lap. Let's see if he just backs off to get a run.
He's not going to do it into turn 2. So he needs to really focus on that exit. Twining, gonna nail those gear shifts. It's so easy to miss a gear in these cars with the way the gearboxes are. But he just needs to look ahead, try not look at his mirrors as hard as that is for a driver when you're out leading. And Shaw just looks like he's got the edge at the moment over Twining, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, he's going to have to get the move done here. So Twining props up. And now the exit, as we see a battle in the background between Cooper and O'Shea. That's on the exit of the hairpin. Great shots from the drone. Well done, Mark Boxer, who's operating that drone cam as Cooper is through on O'Shea.
Yeah, nice textbook move down into turn number 4, and he's probably going to have to just be a little bit defensive into turn 6. The last thing you want to do as a driver is just give up the position that you've just made. So he's better to just be a little bit defensive. So O'Shea, and more, speaking of being defensive, Twining into turn number 6. Just putting that car a little bit narrower. Not all the way to the inside, but about mid-track to make life a little bit harder for Shaw.
Which is going to make a compromise. He's having to prop him up, and look at this. Props him up again. Just overdriving it was Twining.
Yeah, too hot into turn number 1 there. Narrow for the inside of turn number 2, and this is probably the best run that Shaw has actually had out of turn number 2.
Might go the high line, because I think Twining will take the inside run. He's covering through the middle. Not giving any room. And that was no contact. He's just outbraked himself slightly. This is the drag race, the side draft they'll look for. Twining v Shaw, and if he can hold that position, and he cannot, so Twining covers off again. I was about to say if Shaw could hold the outside through the sweeper, which would have been brave, he'd have the inside run at the next left-hander. So Cooper consolidating his lead over O'Shea in the battle for 4th. But now to the outside goes Jackson Shaw. You're not going to get it past around the outside, are you, Thomas Randall?
Definitely not there, but he's really trying to just set up that run off of turn 6. And when you're trying to do that move at turn 4, now this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, he's got overlap.
He's on the wrong side, though. He's on the outside.
There's going to be contact here. You can tell for sure there is going to be contact because Will Twining's going to run him right out to the exit. There was enough racing room at the end, and Tabitha Ambrose, as a result of the battle out in front, she's there. She's now in this for a potential race win. 2 minutes remaining in race 3 of the Hyundai XL ACL Race Series.
If you're going to try and do this move, you need to do it with authority here, Cameron. So what Shaw's trying to do here is do a switchback and then flick it to the inside, but he just can't quite do it. Twining is just placing that car in all the right spots at the moment. And on the lap before, when Shaw went for that move on Twining at turn number 4, Twining had that outside run and was just able to punch it off and then just sort of slot back into the lead. And that's something you actually see a lot at turn number 4. So when you want to pass someone at that hairpin, really got to get up a fair way down the inside as it's on here into turn number 6. Twining on the block.
Ambrose could be the big winner out of this one. Twining into Shaw. Shaw tries to hold the outside line, and he's run wide now. Tabitha Ambrose is going to get a run on them. She tucks in under the second place Jackson Shaw. And there's something brewing. 1:13 remaining in this race, and it's not done.
We may get 1 or 2 more laps here. Big lock up there for Jackson Shaw into turn 2, and these two are going at it now for Ambrose. She's just sitting in here in the background with this double toe effectively, so it's going to be interesting to see what she does. She'll have to sort of see what Jackson's going to do to work out where to place her car, and now Twining's going to go on the defensive. Jackson Shaw on the brakes, there's contact, and it sends a number 11 wide, sends Twining wide, Shaw up the inside. Could be deemed potentially as a bump and run as they go side by side, and it looks like Shaw might have just backed out of it there.
Yeah, that was my read too.
Give Twining the benefit of the doubt, but I tell you what, he's now back alongside him. That side draft, Tabitha pushing Twining down the back straight. So Shaw,
here we go.
Inside line into turn number 6. We're nearly 3 wide here with 15 seconds to go.
Yep, someone's going to get offloaded here. No, great driving. Drops a wheel, does Will Twining. Tabitha Ambrose, we ride on board with. She's in 3rd position. Will Twining in 2nd. And that move by Jackson Shaw was consolidated as they start what will be, I think, the last lap. Look to the outside. There was Cooper on Tabitha Ambrose. So it's Jackson Shaw, Will Twining, Tabitha Ambrose now under threat from Cooper and O'Shea.
Shaw just dropped off the timing there. We can clearly see he's out in the lead. So, yeah, there was that little bit of a bump there into turn number 4, wasn't there, Cameron, between Shaw and our race leader for most of the race, Twining. So I don't know whether, you know, there might have been sort of a bump and run there, but now, either way, it was great racing down into turn number 6.
They crossed the line at around the time certain finish. So I'm just waiting for confirmation whether this is the last lap. So Shaw, Twining, Ambrose, this is the last lap. Confirmation received. This is for the race when he's been offloaded. So Twining's offloaded Jackson Shaw on the last lap. So this could go the way of Tabitha Ambrose. Twining, he'll take the checkered flag, but there was definitely contact. And with a question mark, Will Twining takes the race win. Tabitha Ambrose through in second. Then O'Shea and Cooper. O'Shea getting through on Cooper on that last lap. Now Jackson Shaw comes through in 6th. With that change, the new leader in the hunt for the round, in the hunt for a test drive in Trans Am, has gone the way of Will Twining. But Tom Randall, when you saw that move, there's got to be a question mark. Race control will have a look at it. So for now, William Twining is your race winner. Tabitha Ambrose in second place. Connor O'Shea getting a late move on Dylan Cooper in 4th. Adam Pruitt in 5th. Jackson Shaw, after leading with 2 corners to go, dropped back to 6th as a result of contact with Will Twining. Damien Midgley 7th. Benjamin Davey 8th. Rick Burt in 9th. And Leslie Axelson came home inside the top 10. Looking back further to Jonathan Marshall, and Denzel Sargent did not take the race start, so has continued his run of outs and DNSs. That was it for race 3 of the ACL Race Series Hyundai Excels at the 2025 Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania. And do you think Barry Rogers knew what he did when he offered a Trans Am drive to some young drivers in Hyundai Excels?
I think if you were looking back on that, you might have announced that at the end of the day. So highlights, race highlights here now.
And the intention was clear from the outset. Will Twining and Jackson Shaw into each other, and that was pretty much the story of the majority of the race, right down to the last 2 turns. There was contact also from Pruitt, and that was onto O'Shea. That brewed for a while. In the end, O'Shea was the one that dominated there, but this battle throughout was intense.
It was. I mean, it just was boiling over, wasn't it? And Jackson Shaw making his way back to the front of the pack after what happened into turn number 1 and 2, getting so close to the back of Twining there in turn number 4, and they actually did make contact with 2 laps to go into turn number 4, and Tabitha Ambrose just hanging in there while these two were battling out for the lead, and yeah, it was pretty chaotic in the end with these two fighting over the race lead from the get-go. And Jackson Shaw, that was that move with 1 lap to go. There was a little bit of bump and run at the hairpin on that second last lap, and Twining wanting to get back at him. And this is into turn number 6, and that is pretty much I would say, a potential penalty there after drilling what you would say Jackson Shaw. So race control had to have a look at that, see if he braked early or not. But yeah, that was pretty much square in the back bumper bar of Jackson Shaw, and that's left Shaw down in position number 6. So our provisional results.
I don't think we're too far.
All right, so Will Twining with a question mark, Aaron Noonan.
Yes, Cameron, I've got the man here who's crossed the line first. I've got the checkered flag. Well, you've given us plenty to talk about. That was one hell of a zigging race, but what happened at that second last corner?
You know, it's hard racing, and I think the standard was set early between us that it's a bump and run kind of go. So, yeah, I don't know. We kind of just got into each other, racing hard, and I guess these things happen.
So would we say that was a little bit of payback from earlier on?
You know, it's hard to watch the race from the inside of the car, so I don't know. I'm just out there going for it.
Indeed, you were all going for it. Well done, the winner of race 3.
Thank you very much.
We'll go for a little wander here along to our runner-up, Tabitha Ambrose in the 199. Hey, Tabitha. I thought at the start those two were going to take one another out at the first corner, and then they got into one another as well. There's plenty going on there.
I know, me too. I was hoping that they were going to take each other out, but I think Jackson got it back going, which was pretty good. So, no, I just had to kind of hang tough there, and yeah, it was a good race.
Do you think maybe we should have told you all that there's a Trans Am test for the winner of this weekend after the races rather than before?
Oh, well, I didn't actually know that was on the table, so I might have to get my act together.
Well, you've got another race to go. Well done, well bowled.
Thank you.
We're going to have a chat to Connor O'Shea here, but he's done a runner here. Hang on, where's Connor gone? Come back around here, mate. The Launceston Towing 28 car came into the mix there late there. We had a 3-car fight for the lead, then we had a 5-car fight for the lead, and you were just sneaking your way in there. Well bowled.
Yeah, just trying to keep the car consistent with lap times. All of us up top here running consistent times, so very hard to make the gap back. Luckily, they were fighting and battling up front, so I was able to close the gap up.
We don't get to see too much of the Tassie Excel racing. Is it like this all the time?
Yeah, majority of the time it's like this. Yeah, it's good to see some of us take it up to the mainland and show what the mainland is, what we're capable of down here in Tassie.
You go all right, well done.
Thank you.
Great racing from the Hyundai Excels. Great backing too from ACL. Fantastic Tasmanian business supporting some of the young stars of racing. That's the end of our streaming coverage from here at Hi-Tec Oils Race Tasmania. Join us from 1 p.m. local time. We're on SBS On Demand and Kayo Sport for all the action to finish us off from Hi-Tec Oil Race Tasmania.